Yo, what up, Doe? It's D Jeff, better known as the Doctor of Sports, coming to you with a new episode of the Sports is My Medicine podcast. We'll do things a little different. I've been away for a while. I watched my man Perry yesterday on his podcast. He talked about how, he had been off and working, and he worked in retail, and that's the reason why he hadn't been posting lately or doing this podcast. Well, some of the same situation going on with me. We all got our lives. This don't pay the bills. This is what I do in my free time. But, I work in the medical field. Medical field never sleeps. I got a new position at work. It's pretty demanding. Kind of a go-to guy for all things in the office. So had to put the podcast on the back burner a little bit. Also, the family dynamic, don't dictate that I get home as early as I used to. So I'm not able to post and go, do the podcast as much as I would like. But I think I'm going to start going, maybe Monday through Thursday, 5 o'clock, West Coast time, at least a topic a day, 4 days a week. Then I'll do a breaking news topic. I'm not sure. I don't want to really give a format because, life don't always happen the way you expect it to. So I'm not able to do it. I don't want to be, tell people I'm going to post a podcast and put one out there and then it don't be there. So, yes, I am the Doctor of Sports. Sports is my medicine. I ain't forgot about y'all. I ain't forgot about the podcast. I still love doing what I'm doing. It's just been real busy. I was thinking about talking about the NCAA tournament today, but I'm going to go a different direction. My uncle, Cardi J, Cardi, he on Facebook. He posts live sometimes. He talk about all kind of shit. He's more of a, more all around type podcaster than what I am. But he talks about world news, politics, religion. I ain't getting off into all that. I'm strictly sports. I may, give my opinion on a few things here and there, but for the most part, I'm strictly sports. But yeah, I'm not going to talk about the tournament yet. I was going to talk about some of the stuff that happened this weekend with Michigan State and Michigan and, how they won the games and how they lost the games. But he posted a question on Facebook today about the Pistons. Talked about, do we think that the Pistons will compete within the next, few years, or if they get back to where they were. And I'm speaking verbatim. I mean, not verbatim. I'm paraphrasing what he said on the post. But a lot of people was talking about Dwayne Casey, and I had this conversation a lot with a lot of people because everybody wanted Dwayne Casey fired, and I get it. The team is not as good as we thought they were going to be. I'm not sure why people thought they were going to be better. They feel like he hasn't developed certain players. I disagree with that. Although I don't like Killian Hayes, I think Killian Hayes has gotten better under the tutelages of Dwayne Casey. I think he can be a lot better than what he is, but I think he's gotten somewhat better each season. Also, Isaiah Stewart, he's gotten better. He's developed a jump shot. He's always been a tough rebounder, an inside presence, but he's developed a jump shot. He's able to hit threes every now and again. That is a testament to the coaching of Dwayne Casey. Sadiq Bey was very good for the Pistons, and I believe Dwayne Casey got as much out of him as he was going to get. Although they traded him away. Dwayne Casey came here and was, kind of his hands was kind of tied because the team was going nowhere anyway. They were rebuilding. They got Dwayne Casey, who did an excellent job in Toronto, and he developed those guys in Toronto before they fired him, let him go, and they got Kawhi, and then they ended up winning the championship. Dwayne Casey's developed a lot of those guys that played on that championship team. So had they got Kawhi when Dwayne Casey was there, I think they could have won the championship. That team just needed to break up, the Kyle Lowry and, the experiment with the other kid. His name escaped me right now. When they traded him over to San Antonio and got Kawhi. And then like I said, they won a title. That was Dwayne Casey's team, minus Kawhi Leonard. Siakam, those guys, Fred VanVleet, those guys, Casey did that. So he was good. He's very good at developing players, unlike a coach like Larry Brown, who didn't play rookies and didn't want to play young guys. He wasn't that. He wanted to play those young guys, and he did. But his hands was tied because they was already rebuilding. They wasn't expected to win. They were never expected to win. They were expected to basically tank and get draft picks, as many of the top draft picks as they could, and then they could compete in years to come. And I don't believe Dwayne Casey was ever going to be the coach when it was time for them to compete. Because you're not going to let a guy just keep having losing season after losing season after losing season. At some point, those players are going to stop listening to that coach. Not that they don't respect him, not that they don't love him, but at some point, you need a new voice. I think that's what happened back in the day when they had Rick Carlisle. They had Rick Carlisle. Rick Carlisle had gotten them guys as far as he was going to get them. And then they hired Larry Brown. Larry Brown took it to the next level, got Rasheed, the rest is history. So Carlisle was never going to be the coach when this team got to be competing for top 4, top 5 playoff spots. Right now, they're still in kind of tank mode. And let me tell you what happened, in my opinion. They got lucky and got the number 1 pick in a draft that everybody considered to be not very good. Cade Cunningham was the number 1 pick. I think the Jalen kid from that plays for the Rockets, who was in the G League, they was like the top 2 talents. But it wasn't like a generational talent. Cade's not a generational talent. He's a very, very good player. He has the potential to be great. He does everything well. But that wasn't a draft where everybody wanted that one guy. So what did the NBA do? They, I'm not a conspiracy theorist, but the Pistons won the lottery for the number 1 pick in the year where the number 1 guy nobody really was just in love with. So they got Cade Cunningham. Then the next year, they still wasn't good. They're tanking. They're trying to get another top 3 pick. They have the record that would allow them to get a top 3 pick, and they drop to number 4. It's a lottery. That's the way the cookie crumbles. That's the way the shit falls sometimes. Banchero, Smith, that also plays in Houston, that went to Auburn, and then Chet Holmgren, that went to Oklahoma, was the 3 guys. Those were the top 3 guys that everybody wanted. Mix in Jaden Ivey and Keegan Murray, that went to Sacramento. So when we don't get the first one of the top 3 picks, because we would have either gotten Banchero, Holmgren, or the Smith kid, that made them either decide on Keegan Murray or Jaden Ivey. I don't think they could have passed on Jaden Ivey just because of the Detroit connection. Jaden Ivey is a very good player. Keegan Murray is a good player as well. But they couldn't pass on Ivey because he wanted to be here. He wanted to be there. Guys like that will give you everything they have. You have to draft kids like that. All his Detroit ties. That's where he wanted to go. So when he fell to them, you had to take him. Even though the need was a shooter, somebody who could stretch the floor, a big man who could stretch the floor, and a guy like Murray. That's who a lot of people thought the Pistons would take because that's what they needed. That didn't happen. So now, they trade for Bogdanovich, who's played excellent for the Pistons. He's not a guy that's gonna put you over the top. He can't be the best player on your team. K gets hurt this year. Nobody expected that. He's missed the whole season. So, yeah, they probably were supposed to be a little better than what they are now. But, you know, how much better? Because the roster isn't constructed to be that good, to win competitively, to win a lot of games. You know, they're getting all these big men. They got Wiseman, Stewart, Bagley, Nerlens Noel. They got all these guys that play the same position in the league where you need stretch fours. You need guys who can, you know, shoot the three and space out the floor. So they got a lot of bunched in players, a lot of players that's clogging the middle. They desperately need a wing. They desperately need a 3 or 4 guy that can get it done. I'm talking get buckets, that can play D, that can handle the rock, that can create for himself. So this year's draft is going to be extremely important because, again, they're going to be in the top 3 in worst records, which means they're going to have the 3 best chances to get the number 1 pick. If they drop to 4 in this year's draft, when, in my opinion, the top 3 players are the kid from France, the Victor Wembanyama kid. I don't know if that pronounces his name right, but Victor kid. You got Scoot Henderson that's in the G League. And now you got this Brandon Miller kid at Alabama who's a fucking beast. So, in my opinion, Victor or Brandon Miller would fit perfect with K and Jaden. Now, let's go back to last year real quick. They drafted Jaden Ivey, but I don't think they really wanted to draft a guy to go in the backcourt with Cade. I think he just fell in their lap and they had to draft him. Although I think he's going to be good. I think him and Cade together will be good. We haven't seen it enough. I wish we could have saw a lot of it this year, but Cade got hurt, unfortunately. But I don't think that's what they wanted. They wanted to get a wing. They wanted Banchero, Chet Holmgren, or the Smith kid. I don't know why I can't remember that man's first name, but he went to Auburn. Jabari Smith. I don't know. They wanted one of those 3 guys, and they didn't get them. So now I think this year it's 2 guys on their radar. It's Victor and it's Brandon. Scoot Henderson is in the G League, and he's a hell of a player. Hell of a player. But he's a guard. You don't want to go guard the last 3 years. You need a wing. So if they don't get a top 3 pick, preferably a top 2 pick, then to me it's all for naught. Because I think those 2 guys, Brandon Miller and I'm calling VW or V-Dub, them guys can put you on a trajectory quicker than any other guy in this year's draft. They're that good. They're that talented. And then you pair them with what you got in the young Cade, young Jaden Ivey, young beasts like Duran, and then you're going to have Bogdanovich next year still, who now, when he's your 3rd or 4th option, can be a killer. You got James Wiseman. What is he going to do? Is he going to live up to his, number 2 draft status? I don't know. But this year's draft is extremely important. Also, now it's probably time to get rid of Coach Casey, but not because he's a bad coach, not because they haven't won enough games. It's mainly because it's just time. Sometimes it's just time to tell a guy, okay, it's over. You've done enough. We can't take us any further. So now we gotta go, let you go and move on. And hey, I'm gonna be honest with you. I want the Udoka guy that got fired in Brooklyn. That got fired in, it was in Brooklyn. He came from Boston, I believe. No, Boston. Got fired from Boston. I don't know why I keep saying Brooklyn. Got fired from Boston. that guy can coach. He has got young players over in Boston. Even though those guys are superstars and they kind of, he has some young talent over in Boston. So I believe he's an excellent coach. I believe he can take this team next year. If we get Victor or Brandon to pair with what we got, he can take that team and to new heights. Not championship yet, but definitely a playoff berth. And I ain't talking play-in game. I'm talking 1 through 8, possibly a top 6 seed in the Eastern Conference, where it's really only Boston, Philly, Milwaukee, and Cleveland. Those are the 4 best teams over in the East right now. And if you get those guys, you can compete with Philly and Cleveland at least. Milwaukee and Boston may be on a different level at this point, but, you get them guys, a lot of shit can happen. So, they're preaching patience. And I think we've all been patient as long as we can be. It's hard to be patient when you're a fan of a team and they've been losing for so long. But I think this draft is important. This is probably the most important draft in a long time for the Detroit Pistons. And chances are Coach Casey, Dwayne Casey, is going to probably be fired or let go, however you want to call it. I would like to see him do a Brad Stevens and just, step away from coaching and step up in the front office, help out with the team somehow, but he probably still want to coach because from what I hear, I don't know the man, of course, but he's a great guy, great coach. He's just, his time has run out. The team hasn't improved a lot, and I don't think it's his fault per se. Injuries has hurt. Unfortunate, Killian Hayes hasn't gotten as good as we have hoped. Yeah, he did get a little better, but I just think it's time. It's time for a new voice, just like it was when Rick Carlisle left. So, again, I'm going to keep it short. About 20 minutes I've been on. I hope you guys enjoy. Our Detroit Pistons will be okay. They'll get it together. Let's hope we get one of these top 2 picks in this draft next year. And if you haven't watched Brandon Miller play at the University of Alabama, please watch him. That boy can go. For real. I don't want to hear nothing about all that bullshit that happened with Alabama. My respects go out to the victim in this situation. But Brandon Miller wasn't charged with anything. The DA and the police officer said they can't charge him with anything. He didn't handle a gun. He didn't give the guy a gun. He didn't know the gun was in the car. None of that. So Brandon Miller is off the hook for that. But as a basketball player, that boy can go. And I would love to see him in the Pistons uniform, playing the 3, 6'9", 230, shoot it, drive it, handle it, long, play D. Same thing with Victor. Victor, they talk about Chet Holmgren last year. He got hurt, how tall and skinny he is. But Victor's tall and skinny too. So, I don't hear anybody complaining about that with Victor. But I would love to have him too. So either one of those guys, I think if we can get one of those two, will put us right there in the hunt to be very, very competitive. I'm talking next season. If we don't get one of those 2 guys and we get someone else in the draft, a top 4, top 5 pick, we might be a little better next year with Cade. But no matter who coaches us, we got to have a superstar talent, a generational talent. And I think Brandon Miller and V-Dub both are definitely generational talents. So I appreciate you guys for watching. I have another topic for you guys tomorrow. 5 o'clock Pacific time, 8 o'clock Eastern time, more like 8:30 Eastern, because I'll be recording at 5, posting by 8:30, 5:30 West Coast time. I'm over in the Vago Valley. So one love to you all out there. I appreciate your support. The Doctor of Sports coming at you. Sports is my medicine. Peace.